There's nothing more satisfying than finding shiny Pokemon, and in Pokemon Sun, the hunt is as thrilling as it gets. That's why I decided to take on the Alola region with a team made up entirely of these rare, genetically funky creatures. With tough rules to make the challenge even harder, if that's possible, can we push through this ultimate test of patience? Let's find out. First things first, we need to pick our starter Pokemon, and while you might think this would be the most grueling hunt of the challenge, trust me, it's not. Oh, we'll get into that later. Just know there's a hunt in this video that'll test every ounce of my patience. Now, I decide to go for Shiny Litten because, let's be honest, it's hands down the best shiny starter in Gen 7. You can try to convince me otherwise in the comments, but deep down, you know I'm right. But the problem is, hunting for it means sitting through a whole movie. Every single reset. But this is where I introduce you to a little friend who will help me out a whole lot throughout this challenge. Let's call him Speedo. Speedo, through sheer magic, is able to make my Nintendo run a whole lot faster. But even with Speedo on my side, this hunt is still a grind. It took hours, but finally, at last, we find the shiny kitty, and I could not be happier. Shiny Litten not only looks amazing, but will also be a great Pokemon to have on the team for this challenge. I named the shiny Litten Augustus, and as always, there's a naming theme going on in this video, so if you think you've cracked the code, drop your guess in the comments below. And with Augustus by my side, off we go on our dazzling adventure through Alola, but it doesn't take long before we hit our first major roadblock. Captain Alima. He absolutely cooks us. And with the level cap in place, brute forcing our way through his team isn't an option. Now, the tricky part of this challenge is that you can't just catch a random Pokemon to fill the gaps. Every new team member means dedicating hours to find that one shiny. But in this case, it's not like I have a choice. I decide to hunt on Route 1, and there are a couple pretty cool encounters, but I could also get stuck with something really lame. But that's not the case today, because not even an hour later, this happened. I find a shiny Pikipek, and honestly, you can't be mad about that. This gal is going to play a crucial role on the team later, but for now, we'll just name her Claudius. And with Claudius by our side, Captain Alima is soon defeated. And now, with Alima out of the way, it's time to take on our first totem Pokemon, Gumshoes. And I made sure to sneak in a little leveling up at the trial site because the level cap only applies until the trial officially begins. And I do this because at this point, I decide to add the rule that if I lose a battle, I have to release a random Pokemon from my party in order to spice things up even more. So I do not want to lose. With that in mind, we head into the battle feeling pretty nervous. Thankfully, somehow, Claudius can learn Brick Break. Yeah, I don't know how either, but I'm not complaining. With that move in our arsenal, it only takes 2 solid hits to bring down the totem Gumshoes. But we're not getting any more easy battles, because next up, we're up against Kahuna Hala with a pack of babies. Yeah, this is going to be interesting. I lead with Claudius, and right out of the gate, we get hit with a critical karate chop from Hala's Mankey. But Claudius pulls through, managing to 2-shot Mankey, which means Makuhida's up next. Unfortunately, Fake Out takes out Claudius. But once Augustus is out, we do get lucky as we burn the Makuhida, making it almost useless. Except Makuhida knows Sand Attack, and actually hits us 6 times with it. At this point, Stevie Wonder has a better chance of landing a hit on Makuhida than us, but we do finally land the finishing blow, and Makuhida goes down. Hala's down to his ace, Crabrawler, and this is where things get really dicey. We hit a Fire Fang, and by some miracle, burn the Crabrawler. This means its all-out pummeling isn't as terrifying as it could have been. It's still a struggle to even land a hit, and we even get hit with a Power-Up Punch, which boosts Crabrawler's attack, meaning if we miss the next Fire Fang, it's game over. But Augustus comes through. We land the Fire Fang, take down Crabrawler, and just barely manage to defeat Kahuna Hala. And as a well-deserved reward, we get treated to a series of evolutions. First up, Claudius evolves into a Trumbeak, and then Augustus evolves into a Torracat. And so far, I think this team is not too shabby. Next stop's Akala Island, where I've got a shiny hunt planned that's going to be one for the ages. Trust me. But before we dive into that, it's time to thank the sponsor of today's video, Surfshark. I know this is true for many of you because it's true for me, but you're never actually worried about getting hacked or exposed in a data leak or whatnot until it's too late. And then you're already in a very bad situation. You don't want that. Peace of mind is underrated. Trust me. And another reason why Surfshark's great, a few weeks ago, I got the craving to rewatch Friends and it wasn't on Netflix anymore. Turns out it was available in the UK, so I fired up Surfshark, switched my location, and boom, could I be any happier? With a VPN, you can access all kinds of content that might not be available in your region. Plus, Surfshark offers a 30-day money-back guarantee, so if you don't like it, you can just get your money back. No stress. So, if any of what I just said remotely resonates with you, give it a shot. Trust me. Use the code TWIGYT for an exclusive deal and an extra 4 months free. Now, back to the run where we've already bested Totem Wishy-Washy. Yeah, this one wasn't too bad. But there's no time to rest. Next one is one of the hardest shiny hunts I've ever done. Buckle up because this is going to be a wild ride. We're heading to Wella Volcano Park for what might be one of the most grueling shiny hunts I've ever undertaken, a shiny Salandit. Now, apart from the fact that Salandit's shiny looks amazing, this might not sound too crazy, but trust me, it's a nightmare for several reasons. In order for Salandit to actually be useful and evolve, it needs to be female. Salandit only has a 30% encounter rate in this area, and only 12.5% of those are female. Combine that with the 1 in 4,096 chance of finding a shiny, and yeah, it's pretty brutal. But here on the Twig channel, we're committed to providing you with the craziest, most good content imaginable, so I did it anyway. And yeah, this hunt obviously took some time. Thanks to Speedo, my trusty speed up friend, running back and forth in grass gives us approximately 18 encounters per minute, which definitely helped, but you have to keep this pace for hours, which is pretty hard, let me tell you. But finally, after what felt like an eternity, I encountered a shiny Salandit. A male shiny Salandit. Yeah, that was a punch to the gut. I thought about just cashing out and accepting the male Salandit, but I really did want to make some great content for you, so it didn't feel right. That's why I decided to start the hunt all over again. So, I set out on the hunt again, but this time, I found a shiny Magby.
No, God! No, God, please, no! No!
Yeah, I had to deviate a little from the naming theme here because I was a bit frustrated, but I was also too deep into this hunt to give up now. So back to Wella Volcano Park I went, determined to get that shiny female Salandit. And you know what? The very first encounter I had this time was a female Salandit. Now, that's a sign if I've ever seen one. This time, I could feel it. It's so time for a shiny Salandit. Wait, why do I hear sad music? Yeah, I was done. After all this, I had zero motivation left for this hunt. I was ready to do anything else, so I decided to take on the next totem fight instead. But don't worry, this is not the last you've seen of the Salandit hunt. And this totem battle, well, let's just say it was a much needed confidence boost after the nightmare that was the Salandit hunt. Augustus hits the totem Salazzle hard, and while he does go down swinging, Claudius swoops in to finish the job. The totem falls, and its measly ally Salandit is no match for Claudius either. Taking out a Salazzle was a perfect way to vent my frustration over Salandit after that previous hunt. But I wasn't quite done yet. We still had Totem Laurentis to deal with. But with both a fire type and a flying type on the team, it's not really hard to imagine how this one's gonna go. Yeah, I hope you didn't have your money on Laurentis. So now, with a little extra pep in my step after those victories, I finally gathered the motivation to dive back into the shiny Salandit hunt. Here we go again. This time, I had actually thought of a plan. See, I remembered that certain Pokemon, like Igglybuff, have an ability called Q-Charm. If a Pokemon with Q-Charm is first in your party, there's a 2 in 3 chance that any wild Pokemon you encounter will be the opposite gender of the Q-Charm Pokemon. So with a male Igglybuff with Q-Charm, I should drastically boost my chances of finding a female Salandit. So, I caught myself an Igglybuff on Route 4, and the hunt was back on. Surely, after all this effort, the universe wouldn't be cruel enough to deny me a shiny female Salandit again, right? If it did, I'm not saying I'd cry, but yeah, I'd probably cry. But after all the struggle, all the pain, and all the hours spent hunting, it finally happened. The screen sparkled, and there she was, a shiny female Salandit. I could not believe my eyes. This was probably the happiest moment of my life. I named her Nero, which feels pretty fitting considering all the suffering this hunt put me through. But now, the team is really starting to take shape, and I'm feeling good. With Nero on the team, it's time to face Kahuna Olivia. I lead with Nero, and she takes down Olivia's Nosepass with a couple of Dragon Rages. But unfortunately, we get paralyzed in the process. Olivia sends out her Lycanroc next, and she is not messing around, obliterating Nero with a Continental Crush. But Claudius doesn't let that slide. She swoops in and dishes out some well-deserved revenge with a powerful Brick Break, taking down Lycanroc. Olivia's last Pokemon, Boldore, comes in, but Augustus finishes the job, securing our victory and completing all the trials on Akala Island. To celebrate, Claudius finally evolves into a mighty Toucannon. We are so set to absolutely destroy Totem Vikavolt and pass the trial with flying colors. And speaking of colors, it's time to dive into our next shiny hunt. For this next shiny hunt, I decide to head back to the lush jungle because there are just so many cool encounters we could find here. My top picks are either a Fomantis or a Bounsweet. And this hunt, well, it turns out to be surprisingly easy. Like, it didn't even take a half hour. Before I know it, we find a beautiful shiny Bounsweet, which I immediately name Mark Aurelius. Not only does this shiny look fantastic, but it's great type coverage for the team. And now that Mark Aurelius is with us, it's time to get down to business and train up. And after some solid grinding, Mark Aurelius evolves into a fierce Serena, ready to kick anything that gets in her way. But that's not all. Nero also evolves into a dazzling Salazzle, and wow, just wow. This shiny is top tier. Drop a comment below and let me know what your favorite Gen 7 shiny, because for me, you're looking at it. With the team now fully upgraded, it's time to take on the next big challenge. Totem Mimikyu. I think I'm being clever by trying to poison Mimikyu right off the bat, but it turns out it's holding a Lumberry. So that plan goes out the window. Nero gets hit hard and unfortunately is taken out as a result, but don't worry, Claudius has our backs. She swoops in with a Beak Blast, which burns Mimikyu and deals massive damage. It's not quite enough to keep Claudius in the game though, so Mark Aurelius steps up and finishes the job. And just like that, we earn ourselves another hard-fought trial pass. And finally, our starter, Augustus, evolves into a mighty Incineroar. Now, I know Incineroar gets a lot of mixed reactions. Some people aren't fans of its design, but honestly, I think it looks amazing, especially as a shiny. And right now, our team is looking absolutely phenomenal. I really cannot complain. With a lineup like this, I'm feeling pretty good about taking on Kahuna Nanu. The battle begins with Mark Aurelius absolutely annihilating Nanu's Sableye. No contest there. But when Krokorok steps in, we get hit with Intimidate, which is a bit of a bummer. So I decide to U-turn into Claudius, and she comes through once again, one-shotting Krokorok with Brick Break. I still don't understand how she can learn it, but I'm not questioning it, because it's proving to be incredibly useful. Finally, Nanu sends out his ace, Persian. I U-turn back into Augustus, who makes quick work of Persian with a powerful Leech Life. And now that we've wrapped up Ula Ula Island, it's high time to dive back into some shiny hunting. We make it to the Vast Pony Canyon, and this route is full of amazing shinies. I mean, shiny Boldore, shiny Skarmory, Lycanroc, Jangmo-O. You literally can't lose on this route. Personally, I've got my fingers crossed for a shiny Jangmo-O because it'd be so cool to have a dragon on the team, but like I said, anything we find is a win. win. So I set out on this hunt, running back and forth, wasting the precious fleeting time I have on this earth in pursuit of those rare funky colored pixels. But then, eventually, we strike shiny gold, a beautiful shiny Lycanroc. And this gal is absolutely stunning. We welcome her to the team and name her Trajan. With Trajan on board, we head to the final trial site to face Totem Kameo. And with an Omniboost raising all its stats, this Totem could be trouble. I lead with Claudius, thinking I could pull off a sneaky burn with Beak Blast, but yeah, not my brightest moment. Kameo just uses Protect and calls in an ally Hakameo for free, leaving poor Claudius to go down quickly. No worries though, Mark Aurelius steps up and absolutely wrecks Kameo with a single acrobatics. And with just the ally Hakameo left, it's not long before we've passed the final trial. And with that victory, it's time to head to the Altar of the Sun for two major events. First, taking on the big bad boss Lusamine, and second, a super cool shiny hunt surprise that's coming later. So we blow a flute, activate the Death Star, summon a legendary to travel through time and space in order to visit the average Poketuber's natural habitat at their parents' basement. The air is so thick here, it almost hurts to breathe. Yup, that seems about right. Nothing but pure gamer fumes. Totally fine. But back to business. We challenge Lusamine leading with Trajan, and the first thing we do is set up Stealth Rock. Trajan handles Clefable like a boss, and next up is Lilligant. I switch in Nero, who immediately gets confused and paralyzed. Yeah, great start. But a single flamethrower is enough to toast Lilligant. Lusamine sends out Milotic next, and I know this isn't going to end well for poor Nero. So we let her go down here, but that opens the door for Mark Aurelius to step in and clean up. Augustus easily deals with Mismagius, and Lusamine's ace, Beware, puts up a bit of a fight. But ultimately, Augustus claims the win, giving us the victory. And now, after that whole ordeal, get ready for the best shiny hunt yet. You thought the Salazzle hunt was cool? Well, that's got nothing on what's coming next. We're hunting for a shiny Solgaleo. Now, if you're thinking, wait, isn't that impossible? You're right, Game Freak decided to shiny lock the legendaries in this game, but no worries, we took care of that little problem by removing the shiny lock. Let me know if this is something you like, or if it feels too artificial, or you maybe like non-modified gameplay more. Personally, I think it makes for some cool content, since I guess it's not something you see every day, but let me know in the comments. Anyway, we dive into the hunt, and turns out resetting the encounter goes super fast. I'm talking about close to 20 encounters per minute. Absolutely blazing speed. But even with that, 3 hours later, and I'm still spamming resets. Until it finally happened. A beautiful, shiny Solgaleo. And wow, does this guy look incredible. Such a great addition to the team. We name him Hadrian, which, if you ask me, is a pretty fitting name for such a legendary Pokemon. Nebby, you belong with Twig now. He will be your father.
Oh shit.
With that awesome new addition to the team, it's time to push forward. We've got two rival battles to take care of before we can take on the Pokemon League. Gladion is no problem for us, but Hao manages to put up a bit more of a fight. His Kamala actually takes down Trajan, and his Decidueye finishes off Mark Aurelius. But Claudius comes in clutch, wrapping up the battle by taking out his Vaporeon with Bullet Seed. And with our rivals finally out of the way, it's time to get to the battles we've all been waiting for, the Elite Four. First up, I decide to take on Kahili, the flying type Elite Four. Trajan comes out strong, setting up Stealth Rock, which is going to be a huge advantage in this battle. But things get tricky fast. Skarmory turns out to be more of a problem than expected, so I switch into Augustus, only for him to get hit with a critical hit. And just like that, he gets taken out. Not a great start. I send out Nero instead, and she turns out to be the MVP here. Nero easily finishes off Skarmory, and she is on fire, no pun intended, as she takes out Mandibuzz as well. When Kahili sends out her ace, Toucannon, I know a Z-move is coming, so I poison it and let Nero go down with honor. She's already done more than enough. Trajan comes back out to clean up, finishing off Toucannon with ease. As for Oricorio and Crobats, both drop quickly, and just like that, we've defeated Elite Four member number 1. Next up is Olivia, the Rock-type specialist. Mark Aurelius leads the charge, absolutely decimating Relicanth and Alolan Golem without breaking a sweat. But Olivia's ace, Lycanroc, fires back with a Z-move, and Mark Aurelius gets knocked out. That's when we bring in the big guns. Hadrian. One Sunsteel Strike is all it takes to obliterate Lycanroc. Seriously, this thing is a beast. The rest of Olivia's team doesn't stand a chance, and just like that, we've taken out half of the Elite Four. Next on the hit list is Hala, the fighting type master. Mark Aurelius, with her Queenly Majesty ability, prevents Hariyama from using Fake Out, and we get to destroy it with acrobatics. Unfortunately, Hala's Crabominable fights back with an Ice Hammer, taking Mark Aurelius down. But Nero steps in and avenges her with a one-hit KO flamethrower. Claudius makes quick work of Poliwrath, and then it's time for Hadrian to shine again. This thing is just OP. Hala's team gets obliterated, and we're breezing through the Elite Four, turning his fighters to dust in no time. Finally, the last of the Elite Four stands in our way. Acerola. I lead with Mark Aurelius, hoping to get an easy start. But nope, we get hit with Confuse Ray and end up hitting ourselves 3 times in a row, taking ourselves out. Yeah, tough luck. All thanks to this trash mechanic. Augustus steps in to finish the job, but when Acerola brings out Palisand, we have to switch into Claudius to take it down safely. And then we switch to Augustus for Frostlass, which should have been a perfect matchup, but of course, RNG has other plans. We get hit with Confuse Ray, again hit ourselves, and then get frozen by Blizzard and stay frozen 3 turns in a row. Augustus goes down because of this cursed RNG. I'm calling for Game Freak to remove this nonsense immediately. I'm done. But thankfully, Nero swoops in to finish off Frostlass and deals with both Dhelmise and Driftblim, securing our victory over Acerola. At long last, we've beaten the Elite Four. Only one battle remains, the final showdown. Will our shiny dream team conquer Alola, or will Kukui shatter our hopes? Let's find out. We start off with Lycanroc versus Lycanroc, setting up entry hazards. I switch into Mark Aurelius as Kukui's Lycanroc hits us hard with a Stone Edge. Thankfully, one Drop Kick takes it down. Next up is Braviary, so we bring back Trajan. He deals massive damage, but Kukui withdraws Braviary, sending out Magnezone instead. So it's time for Augustus to step in. Flare Blitz takes care of Magnezone, but the recoil leaves Augustus hanging by a thread. He sacrifices himself against Snorlax to give us a safe switch into Trajan, and Trajan comes in clutch, finishing off the Snorlax. Now Kukui sends out his ace, Primarina. Trajan gets hit with a powerful Z move and is taken out, but this is where Nero steps up. One powerful Sludge Wave and Primarina is down. Braviary returns, but Nero is not having any of it. She takes it down effortlessly, leaving Kukui with just one Pokemon, Alolan Ninetales. And to wrap up this epic journey, I just felt like I had to send in Hadrian. One Sunsteel Strike later, and Ninetales is completely obliterated. And just like that, we've done it. We've beaten Pokemon Sun using nothing but shiny Pokemon, and what an awesome team it was. Thanks for watching. For more Pokemon content, click on this video next, and hit subscribe to support my channel. Let me know in the comments what video you want to see, and if you liked the video, click like.